On May 1st, 1915, the Lusitania set out for what would be her last voyage. The Lusitania, 7 days later, would soon be sunk by a U-boat and be sunk by a single torpedo fired by U-20. The Lusitania would be on a 7-day voyage, carrying 2,000 people, who would be unknown that in 7 days' time would become pawns in war. So, when I found out that the Lusitania might be a target, I wanted to board it and see it for myself. As I saw the Lusitania for the first time, she looked indestructible. Don't worry, everyone. The Lusitania is going at 25 miles per hour, 25 knots. No ship sailing over 14 knots has ever been torpedoed. We'll get you to where you need to be safely. Captain, how fast? Captain, aren't you aware of the warning? Aren't you aware of the warning of sailing? We have been protected for many times. We shall be protected again. And please excuse me. Captain, I just want you, Captain, you need to sign this. You need to sign this. We are loading TNT and we are loading explosive devices onto the ship. And just for war purposes, that kind of thing. Weapons. I don't like weapons to be loaded on the ship. Oh, it's just a signature to be making sure that we carrying weapons for the war. As we finally got on board the Lusitania for the first time, this would be her last voyage. Meanwhile, 3,000 miles away, U-20 had also left its home port. Alright, so now we gotta start attacking ships. Any ships we can find, even passenger ships. Meanwhile, down in the boiler rooms, they are beginning to fuel the ship, the large, massive ship, with coal. Meanwhile, down in the boiler rooms, they were beginning to fuel the large, massive ship with coal. And they started to turn. People started to turn down the engines and started to work the engines. All right now, all right. All right, 2 loads of coal. Shovel in 2 loads of coal. Let's get a move on. Shuttle 2 loads of coal. Let's get a move on. Start shoveling the boilers in. Let's get a move on. As the engines were working down in the boiler room, Lusitania started to set off on her journey. Meanwhile, at the bridge. Good morning, Captain. Good morning. Take her out. Yes, sir. Now the Lusitania is leaving the port on her way to Liverpool. On a 7-day voyage. Meanwhile, the U-20 has just found its first ship. There it is. Look. Torpedo, fire torpedo. Dun dun. Psh. Sir, a ship was just torpedoed just off the coast of Liverpool. How many casualties? 5. Was it a warship? No, it was a completely unarmed ship. Oh. Do you think we should diverge Lusitania? The Lusitania is hundreds of miles off. Nothing we can do. The Lusitania had been set off for her 7-day crossing. Meanwhile, during the 7-day crossing, we decided to enjoy the amenities and settle down in the amenities of the Lusitania. The Lusitania had 7 restaurants, even an elevator. Meanwhile, as passengers enjoyed their comfort, down below, workers were shoveling in coal. Workers were manning the engines and shoveling in coal. Workers were manning the engines and shoveling in coal. That's right, put your back into it. That's right, put your back into it. As they kept on feeding the boilers, they said, put your back into it, and they shoveled it in coal. Piles and piles of coal. As they kept on feeding the giant ship, the Lusitania progressed forward. The engines pushed the turbines ahead. Meanwhile, U-20 was having very little luck. They had only captured sailboats. Man, all we've been catching so far are sailboats. We need to catch more than just sailboats. Oh my goodness. A warship. She's coming straight for us. Dive, dive, dive. She's coming straight for us. Dive, dive, dive. She's coming straight for us. Dive, dive, dive. Dawn, dawn, dawn. Dawn, 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 dawn. As the Lusitania set off, little did they know that the Lusitania and the U-boat were on a collision course and would meet up in just 7 days' time. The date is now May 3rd, and even though we were 4 days out, the powerful turbines of the Lusitania were getting us closer and closer by the hour. Meanwhile, U-20 had just sunk another ship. Man, we can't keep catching sailboats. A ship ahead. We have just found a ship ahead. What is it? It's an unarmed passenger ship. Let's get her. Fire torpedo. Fire torpedo. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boom! We got her. Let's take a look. Dun, 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 dun. Sir, another ship was just torpedoed in the Lusitania's direction. Do you think we should reroute Lusitania's direction? How about Lusitania takes a detour? No, that'll be too much. That'll be too much. That'll add another day to the schedule. But sir, Lusitania is headed straight for U-20. Lusitania is simply too big and too fast to be torpedoed by U-20. U-20 won't even take a shot at Lusitania. Meanwhile, on the bridge. Meanwhile, on the bridge, the captain receives the first warning of the day. Says, Captain, a warning for you. Says, be alert that there is a U-boat in the area. Alright, so then I guess we're ending enemy territory then. Alright, blacken the curtains and darken the curtains and inform the passengers. Yes, sir. I'm going to inform the passengers. And everyone, please welcome the captain. Hello, I have some news. Tomorrow we will be entering the U-boat territory and we will be entering a war zone. However, we will be completely protected by the warship. However, what I would like you to do as passengers is to blacken all the windows. Sir, I just found out that we are going below speed limit, and I found out that we are going below speed limit. I want to know why that is. Because we are not using all the boilers. Well, I want to know why we aren't. Well, I want to know why we aren't going 25 knots an hour. Well, we are still going 21 knots, which is still faster than any U-boat can ever catch. Thank you. Good night. Meanwhile, U-20 has just sunk more ships and has saved 2 torpedoes for the journey home. The Lusitania and the U-20 are only days away from encountering each other. The Lusitania is only days away from encountering the warship. Meanwhile, in the boiler rooms, they keep shoveling in coal. Well, Captain, it should be foggy tomorrow. That means we gotta slow down the engines. We gotta slow the engines down to 15 knots. The fog is no good for the won't that mean that we'll be more likely to be torpedoed by the U-boats? It is not the fog is just as bad for the U-boats as it is for us. Once the fog clears, once the fog clears, we will increase the speed as soon as the fog clears. We shall increase the speed at any time. We should have the engines on hold. Remember to have the engines on hold so that way as soon as the fog clears, We can speed up the engines at any time. If we need to speed up the engines any time, we can speed up the engines. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. 2,000 people, passengers have no idea that just in a few hours, that just in 24 hours, they will be in a war zone and they will become victims of war. Meanwhile, U-20 has only one torpedo left, and U-20 must make a decision to leave or go home to leave today or tomorrow. U-20, you think we should leave today or leave tomorrow? Leave tomorrow. And welcome the Lusitania home. You're not thinking about torpedoing the Lusitania. Yes, we're thinking about torpedoing the Lusitania. With one torpedo? Yes. One torpedo won't do much damage. It will do enough damage if we get it in the right place. Meanwhile, on deck, the Lusitania has no idea they're in a war zone. Meanwhile, on deck, Lusitania is just hours away from being torpedoed. Alright everyone, this is just a procedure, this is just taking safety precautions to be near the lifeboat deck. To be near the lifeboats. I'm being near a lifeboat as soon as possible. I want to be the first one in a lifeboat.
One of the things I asked you to do when I was gone was take out the trash. And you still didn't eat the breakfast I made. That's okay. Gotcha. I'm gonna fix you. So literally you didn't eat all day. All you need is cupcakes and candy. That's what you've had all day. And you're welcome. I turned your paper in. You're welcome.
Meanwhile, on the Lusitania, passengers are taking safety precautions. They're taking safety precautions to wait near the lifeboat deck. Because they are entering a war zone. In just 24 hours time, the Lusitania and U-20 will be on a collision course. The date is May 7th, 1915, 8 o'clock in the morning. It is foggy. The Lusitania is entering fog. Dun dun dun, ooh, ooh, ooh. The Lusitania is entering a foggy morning. Ooh. Captain, We need to lower the engines to 15 knots. Yes, sir. Lower the engines to 15 knots. We cannot be going full. We cannot risk going full speed in fog. Yes, sir. Lower the engines to 15 knots. Lower the engines to 15 knots. Yes, sir. I want you to hold the engines so that way when the fog clears, we can resume speed at any time. Yes, sir. Meanwhile, U-20, some miles away, can just make out the 4 stacks of a steamship. It's the Lusitania. It's the Lusitania. No. She's too far. Meanwhile, during this time, the fog is beginning to clear, and the Lusitania's captain makes a decision to turn the ship towards the U-boat, towards the ship towards U-20, exactly in the path of U-20. 9 o'clock, 1915, May 7th, 1915. She's coming straight for us. She's coming straight for us. She's coming straight for us. Meanwhile, as the fog began to clear, Lusitania is now in sight of U-20. Meanwhile, the coast can be seen. Land. Lusitania is now in sight of land. This makes the passengers feel a lot safer. But they were not safe considering they have no idea that they will be torpedoed in a matter of minutes.
Come on, son. Son, get back. Son, back here. Back here, buddy. Back. Son, here. Sit. Over here, son. Over here. Sit over here so I can open the door. Son, get back. I was like right there. Go. Hold on, son. Come here, son. I gotta put my shoes on.
Meanwhile, the submarine is just in range of firing at the Lusitania. She's coming straight for us. Fire torpedo! Fire torpedo! She's coming straight for us. Fire torpedo! But she's a passenger ship. I don't care. Fire the torpedo now. Fire! 10. Fire! 10. 10. 9. 8. 7. 6. 5. 4. 3. 2. Torpedo! On the starboard side! How to starboard! How to starboard! Torpedo! Just gaining on the starboard side! How to starboard! Torpedo! Gaining in on the starboard side! How to starboard! How to starboard! Torpedo! Gaining in on the starboard side! Torpedo! Gaining in on the starboard side! Run! How to starboard! How to starboard! Torpedo! Gaining in on the starboard side! How to starboard! Torpedo! Gaining in on the starboard side! How to starboard! How to starboard! Torpedo gaining on the starboard side. Boom! Ah! 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 We're gaining water. She's taking on water. We've been hit. We've been hit. She's taking on water. We've been hit. Ah! We've been hit. Water's taking on fast. Torpedo. Ah! We're sinking. Sir, we've just been hit by a torpedo. Ah! Ah! Done. Ah! 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 We're sinking. Ah! 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 The Lusitania has just been struck by a torpedo and is sinking fast. Sir! Captain! What's the prognosis? She's leaning in at 45 degrees. I cannot believe my eyes. She's leaning at 45 degrees, sir. Sir, we've just been struck by a torpedo. Torpedo has struck the starboard side, sir. We've been struck by a torpedo. Torpedo has struck the starboard side, sir. The ship is going down fast. Everyone get to the lifeboats. The ship is sinking. Everyone get to the lifeboats. Meanwhile, the ship is beginning to sink faster and faster. Everyone get to the lifeboats. The ship is sinking. Everyone get to the lifeboats. The ship is sinking. Everyone get to the lifeboats now. The ship is sinking. Everyone get to the lifeboats now. The ship is sinking. ship is sinking. Everyone, get to the lifeboats now. The ship is sinking. The ship is sinking. 1, 2, 3. Lower away. Lower away. 1, 2, 3. Lower away. Lower away. Lower away. The ship is sinking. Lower away. Meanwhile, on deck, the Lusitania has just taken on water and is sinking fast. Send the SOS that we need assistance now. Send the SOS that we need assistance now. We're going down by the head. Send an SOS that we need assistance now. We've been hit by a torpedo and we're going down by the head. Send the assistance now. Send assistance now. We've been hit by a torpedo and we're going down by the head. Send an assistance now. Send assistance now. We've been hit by a torpedo and we're going down by the head immediately. Send assistance now. We've been hit by a torpedo and we're going down by the head. Send assistance now. Send assistance now. We've been hit by a torpedo. We're going down by the head as we speak. Send assistance now. Lower lifeboats away. Let's get to the lifeboats. Lower lifeboats away immediately. Lower away. Lower away. Lower away. Send assistance immediately. We've been hit by a torpedo. Send assistance immediately. Lower away. Left and right together. Send assistance immediately. We've been hit by a torpedo. Send assistance immediately. We're listing at a 45-degree angle. Send assistance immediately. Send assistance immediately. Send assistance. Send assistance.
It's 1 o'clock in the morning. You need to shut that off.
Send assistance. We've been hit by a torpedo. We're going down fast.
That's what I'm talking about.
Send assistance.
There's no respect.
We've been hit by a torpedo.
Turn it off. That it's
Send assistance.
late. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. I want to go to sleep.
We've been hit by a torpedo. Send assistance. We're going down fast. The ship is sinking down by the head as we speak. And just moments later, after the torpedo struck, a second explosion happened. Just moments later, a second explosion happened. What's that? We just hit a second explosion. A second explosion happened. Oh my goodness. I don't know what happened. It must have been the explosives. It must have detonated.
This is Mother's Day weekend. I'm asking you to turn that off.
The explosives.
Turn it off so I can go to sleep.
It must have been the explosives. She's going down fast. Oh my goodness. Everyone get out! Everyone get out! Everyone! Get out! She's going down by the head. Oh my goodness. The elevator's locked. How can we get out of here? Don't worry. We'll find a way to get out. Come on. The elevator is locked. We'll find a way to get out of here. The elevator's locked. Ooh. Moments later, a second explosion happened. Everyone... You've done your duty. Go save yourself. I will stay down with the ship. You've done your duty.
One negative situation
Go
to the
stay.
next. I
Go save
swear.
yourself. As the Lusitania has been struck by a torpedo.
Don't be in shock. That game won't be here
10
tomorrow.
minutes later.
All that's gonna be gone.
10 minutes later, after Lusitania had
And I
been
knew I
struck by a
should've,
torpedo.
Don't do it. Don't
It's
do
been
it. I should've
10
let
minutes
it
later. Lusitania has been struck by a torpedo.
It's okay.
10 minutes later, it is already over halfway down, over halfway submerged. Lower away. Wah! Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. 16 minutes later. Only 2 minutes
You ain't washed
until
your
Lusitania
clothes. You haven't done
sinks.
anything that you were supposed to do, but you're playing that game. I asked you to turn the game off. That's okay. It'll
Only
be
2
gone
minutes
tomorrow.
later after
It'll be gone
Lusitania
tomorrow. You
sinks.
won't have it tomorrow. It'll be gone. Don't be in shock.
Only 2 minutes later after Lusitania sinks. 2 minutes later. The Lusitania, we were all thrown into the water.
Notice that.
Sir, we hit on point. She's going down
Go
fast.
get a crate. Go.
She's going down fast.
Go get a crate. Go lay down in the crate. There's no rug. It's gone.
She's going down fast. As the Lusitania took her final plunge into the water. As Lusitania took her final plunge down into the water. As Lusitania finally took her final plunge into the water. It's been 15 minutes since Lusitania was hit by the torpedo, and already, Lusitania is already nearly headed for the ocean. Passengers still on board, hold on for dear life. Passengers on board, stay on the ship until it sinks. 18 minutes later, the Lusitania is gone. Passengers swim around in the debris. Just a few miles away from shore. Relatively close, but too far to swim. Just now, the Lusitania is completely underwater, and the Lusitania has just sunk. In 18 minutes, the Lusitania is gone, leaving behind taking a little less than 2,000 passengers with her. The U-20 continues and returns home after making a successful last capture. Only sinks in only 18 minutes. The captain actually survives, and days later is on shore to only pick up pieces of his wreck, his ship, his prized masterpiece, and he's ashamed to pick up pieces of the wreck of his prized masterpiece.